Let's talk about the story that broke overnight. The presidency described as regrettable U.S. President Donald Trump's intention to bar South Africa from attending the G20 Leaders Summit in America next year. South Africa handed over the G20 presidency to the U.S. earlier in the week. The U.S. boycotted the G20 Summit in Johannesburg at the weekend, accusing Pretoria of human rights abuses against Afrikaners. However, G20 leaders adopted the declaration. Now, for more on this decision by the U.S., let's speak to SABC News specialist correspondent Sophie Mokoena, who actually at the moment is in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, which is hosting an international conference on women in business. But Sophie, I know you are busy, but this certainly is one that we were anticipating while we were covering the G20. We knew something was going to come from the US, but did we expect this angle that they are taking, this kind of level of barring and not inviting South Africa to the next G20 summit?
Quite busy on international front yesterday with the Guinea-Bissau coup, and now later it was President Trump with this announcement. The issue here, Lian, is that the leaders did anticipate that it's going to be a rocky one from the 1st of December, when officially America takes over. Remember, at this moment, South Africa is still holding the presidency of the G20. US will officially take over on the 1st of December. And therefore, when you look at the communique at the bottom, that paragraph gives an indication that the leaders were fully aware that it might be a difficult one with the outgoing South Africa having to participate in the US as part of the Troika, because with the G20, you don't have the Secretariat, you have Troika, the outgoing, the current and the incoming. Therefore, it's South Africa, America, and the United Kingdom. That is why if indicating throwing forward to United Kingdom. However, when you look at how the G20 was formed, there was no provision for expulsion. And they did try to expel Russia after that war in Ukraine started. But to date, countries of the North who wanted Russia to be expelled, they couldn't do it because there's no provision. Secondly, this is a bilateral issue. It cannot be used as part of the groups or the multilateral gathering. And therefore, Donald Trump will have to understand that this is a bilateral issue. The only way he can bar South Africa is refusing to grant visas to those who are supposed to attend the meetings to the lead up to the summit of heads of state and government, and also refuse the delegation during the heads of state and government meeting visas. The State Department will have to do that, but there is no provision for such. But secondly, the false narrative and fake news of genocide of white South African has been dismissed by many South Africans, including the groups that are aggrieved about what is happening in South Africa. Both AfriForum and Solidarity have dismissed the issue of a genocide. The leaders who were here of powerful nations go to their social media post. It was almost like they are promoting South Africa and pushing back. All of them painted a rosy picture about the country, how they were received, and the discussion, and the fact that only Argentina had a dissenting voice on adoption of the communique speaks to developed countries, the friends of the United States of America, members of the G7, the developing South, the BRICS nations that are part of the G20 rallying behind Pretoria. And therefore, I think that's where the issue is.
Absolutely, and I know that there certainly is going to be a lot of response, I imagine, throughout the day, and we'll see how this one progresses. Also, let's keep in the back of our mind that, as Stace reminded me, the FIFA World Cup taking place in the US, but of course it's also Canada and Mexico. And what will that mean for South Africans attending as well? Think we'll have problems? Wonder. All right, let's leave it there. Sophie Mokoena, thank you. Thanks for weighing in on this story that really it's just the beginning of what I imagine is going to be a lot more developments.